haircut way up high. Get yourself a lawyer, son. You're gonna need a real good one.
Yes, indeed. We have been joined in the studio, as we always are at this time on a Tuesday morning, by David Whiting. And, now this is a first, maybe people are resting after watching the Queen's funeral, but we have lines free. So if you would like some legal advice from David Whiting, do call 1300 222 774. David, good morning.
Good morning. I didn't watch the funeral.
Didn't you?
I know, it's...
Well, you know,
okay.
each to their own.
I'm sure it'll be on iView, so... Yep.
If you just turn your head slightly to the left, both television
there it
screens
is.
in the studio are actually
There it
playing it at
is.
the moment. So I don't think there'll be any shortage of opportunities for you to catch up.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yes, it's been the long goodbye.
It has, hasn't it? Anyway.
I must say I watched because of a sense of this. We will never see this again in our lifetime, and it was just an extraordinary spectacle.
Oh,
really.
yeah, absolutely. They do spectacles well.
They do spectacles incredibly well. To what end, I don't know. Do you know, one thing that we didn't talk about this morning, but I found a little jarring, was, yes, it's all about the visual and the pomp and the ceremony, but those two children of Prince William and Kate, they're 7 and 9, and they walked behind the coffin, no holding of hands, no calming mum's hand on their backs, nothing. They both just walked alone. And I just thought,
Well trained, is that what
well,
you
not
thought?
just well trained. I thought maybe it might have been nice if they'd had a little comfort from their parents. I thought that was taking the whole, stiff upper lip just a little bit too far.
Okay, understood.
But maybe that's just me. Now, you had homework.
I did. I had a homework. It was Jenny from... Let me tell you, I wrote these down. Jenny from Caulfield. She was a member of an owners corporation, and what had happened was they'd held the meeting and the committee, almost nobody turned up. So in the end, the committee was herself and her partner and someone else. And the manager of the owners corporation is refusing to take direction from them, and that's because you can only have... So here's the rules. An owners corporation of less than 10 units doesn't need a committee. An owners corporation of 10 or more does need a committee, and the minimum number on a committee is 3
Owners,
and you can't have more than one member from a lot.
right.
So if a couple own a lot, only one of them can be on the committee. So they have technically they have a committee of 2. Therefore, they don't have a committee. So if anything is to be decided, it needs to be decided by the membership as a whole, and that requires everybody to be balloted. So every time somebody wants something to be done, the manager needs to ask everybody. So you can imagine that's an expensive way to run an OC.
Very. I think maybe a few more people should have turned up.
Well, not only turned up, put their hand up. So from Jenny's perspective, Section 103 of the Owners Corporation Act says only one person from a unit can be in the Owners Corporation, can be on the committee. So,
Well, there you go.
Yep, that was that one.
So in fact, Jenny doesn't have a leg to stand on.
No. But they could have another meeting and perhaps get someone else.
Some more people.
Yes. And you've probably already been mentioned, but of course the Nirvana album from 1991 called Nevermind had a 4-year-old baby.
4-year-old? No, 4-month-old.
4-month-old baby.
Underwater.
Underwater, yes. And I must say that in 2021, I call him the star of the photo, issued proceedings alleging that it was child pornography, and as a result of child pornography, he wanted to be compensated for his exploitation. The report that I read couldn't, and so they sued a gentleman by the name of Spencer Eldon from California, sued Nirvana, the band. And but you would have come along and thought, well, if you were going to do it, you'd logically sue your parents as well because they benefited from the $200 from the sale of the photo that has been published at least 30 million times.
And what year is the album?
1991.
Yeah, right. Okay, so 30 years later.
Mm-hmm. He was unsuccessful. He's appealing.
Oh, he's appealing.
He's now appealing, and he's appealing that the judge who threw his case out, because he should have brought it within 10 years of turning 18.
How do you appeal a sort of statute of limitations, if you like?
Well, it's who knows. Who knows?
Is that you stumped for words? I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Okay, well, no, I didn't consider whether or not it basically he's come along and said it's all wrong, and look at the ignominy that I'm now facing.
Which, of course, he wasn't before he revealed who he was.
No. He was just a really nice bloke walking down the tube that everybody knew, but not quite in those circumstances. And now, of course, he'll be more famous for issuing the proceedings than he will be for his photo on a 1991 record album.
Well, we shall. Have they accepted the appeal? They're hearing the appeal?
No, you file the appeal, and then the answer will be there'll be a hearing on the appeal.
Right, okay.
I'm not expecting a different answer.
No. 1300 222 774 if you'd like to talk to David. You can text as well, 0437 774 774, but we do like to talk to you, so give us a call. James in Eltham. Hi, James.
Oh, g'day. Thank you. Thanks, David, and thanks for the help. My problem relates to a house, a tree, and a council. The house is 5 metres from the tree. The tree's been growing for 25 years, and it's a big tree. And it's cracking the bricks, lifting the foundations and the footpath.
And is the tree on your property, or is it council tree?
It's on my property.
But you can't get a permit to do anything with it?
Well, the council not only said we won't give you a permit, they said if you're having problems with the house, just move the house.
Okay.
It's not on wheels. I can't push it. So I'm wondering, my question are, what are the regulations about a tree that's 5 metres from a house doing damage? And is there a higher authority with perhaps a bit more mental horsepower or common sense that we could approach for a decision, or is the council the ultimate arbiter?
James, yesterday I got asked to investigate a position in a different shire, not Nolumbic, and it was to consider a person has asked for a permit to put a townhouse in their backyard, subdivide the battle axe block, build a house at the back. And the council has refused the permit because a tree in the block next door is so big that they want to trim the tree. And the council says no, the tree is significant; it must remain. And while I've never had to seriously consider the issue before about what do you do if the council won't give you a permit for a tree. My thoughts were that for you it might be a root barrier. But perhaps let me take it on its homework. I'll look at your local laws and see what the issue is. But I've also looked very briefly at some cases at VCAT since yesterday about whether or not you can get a planning permit to lop a tree. All right. So listen next week.
James.
Terrific.
Okay.
Homework. So David, in the case that you're looking at. Even though the tree is encroaching on the rights of your clients on their land, they can't. That's it. There's nothing.
Well, no. It's this conflict. If you live next door to me and your tree was overhanging my garden,
I thought you could cut to the fence.
Well, I could cut to the fence, and better still, I'd require you to cut to the fence. May as well get you to pay for it. But in lots of councils have requirements and regulations in relation to significant trees. And how do I make you do something that the council won't let you do? So that's the resolution that I shall hope to have an answer for next week.
I have a question for you, which I may or may not have a personal interest in. If a tree is overhanging your property and falls and damages your property...
Yes. The owner of the tree has a liability.
Okay. Sue, in the CBD. Good morning, Sue.
Hello.
Hello,
Thank you
Sue.
for taking my call. Hi. I live in an apartment of one of 6 in a block.
Yes.
And I manage our owner's corp.
So
one
does
of
that
our
mean you're
owners-
the secretary? Is that what that means?
I'm sorry, I'm the secretary
yes,
of the owners'
okay, because
corp.
you don't have a formal owners
We don't
corporation
have-
manager. Yes?
No, we don't.
Yep.
One of the owners owns 2 units, and he recently, earlier this year, moved overseas for an indefinite period. I don't know. He is 6 months behind in his levy payments,
Yes.
and he's not responding to emails from either myself or his real estate agent. We both tried to, or we both unsuccessfully requested that he authorise the agent to pay these levies. I don't have a forwarding address or a phone number for him,
Yes.
so it's rather difficult. And my question is, what course of action do we, the 4 remaining owners, have to pursue payment?
The technical answer is you
Yes.
can sue him or the owner for the outstanding owners corporation fees. You can get a judgment which you can uplift to the Supreme Court, and then you could sell one of the units.
Right.
Now, my problem is it's probably going to leave you several $1,000s out of pocket, but that's the process you can follow. There'll be
Okay,
a sale
so-
by the sheriff.
Right.
So in
So
essence, it's not very practical, is it? As a
No. I mean,
No, it's a very large hammer for a very small nuts, but the problem is that it's Sue and her other owners, her other 3 co-owners, who are paying as a consequence of this person's refusal to pay.
Right.
But that's
There is-
the remedy
that's
for
the-
you, Sue.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Thanks.
So I'm sorry that's it seems that it's a shame that there's nothing in between there in terms of trying to get people to, because I imagine that is probably not an incredibly uncommon problem.
Well, the other alternative would be not to go to the last step and force a sale, but rather you could obtain an order directing the tenant to pay the rent to the owners corporation. But again, it's costing a bit of money.
Absolutely. I know we don't usually take text as preference, but just another question on owners corporation committees. If you've got 4 lots and 2 owners on the committee, is that valid? Well, it would be, wouldn't it? Because
No.
you don't know.
No, you've got 4 owners. If you have a committee, there must be 3 on the committee.
Even if you've only got 4 lots in the entire building.
Yes,
Right.
it's not. It's all of the law we didn't think about. If there are 10 or more, the owners, you must have a committee. If there are less than 10, you don't need a committee. But if you have a committee, the minimum
Must
number
be
is 3. Yep.
Glenda in Fairfield. Hi, Glenda.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
I was recently in a car accident. Very low impact, minimal damage. It was my fault, which I acknowledged at the time. We took details, called our insurance companies, and everything was proceeding as normal. The other driver then 3 days later reported it to the police, and who called me. And then this was about 3 months ago, and about 2 weeks ago I was served with papers.
From the police or a magistrate's court summons for
Magistrate
damage to the
courts.
car?
Yeah, magistrate's court summons.
Yes.
And I immediately called my insurance company and said, what's happening?
What's going on? Why haven't you done something? Yes.
And they said that they had also been served with those papers, and that for me to leave it with them, that was their job, that's what they're paid to do,
Yes.
and that they would look after it. I've called them twice, because I did when I had a chance to read the papers, and there was some information on it I wanted to make sure they were clear about. And they again said, don't worry about it, it's with our legal team, we will look after it.
Yes.
What I'm wondering, my question is that in the papers it says there's 21 days to respond to that.
Yes.
And I'm not responding because of my insurance company's advice.
Yes.
I want to just make sure that this isn't going to come back to bite me somehow. It's $25,000 she's suing for.
Ow. When was your accident, Glenda?
It was in June,
So less than 3 months ago, or just 3 months ago.
just about 3 months ago now, yeah.
I am amazed that you've got the summons this quickly. Did you receive any correspondence from the insurance company or the lawyer on the other side?
No, nothing at all. Everything was going according to plan until this happened.
Well, according to expectation, yes.
Yeah.
I honestly would leave it with the insurance company.
Yeah.
I do have a professional standards issue with the lawyer.
Not contacting
No,
Glenda?
there's a piece of legislation called the Civil Procedure Act, and it essentially says you've got to try and resolve these things prior to litigation. And if you don't, then there could be a cost consequence that you might not get your costs paid, and you may need to pay the other side's costs. So it's to encourage people not to rush off to the court. But for $25,000, that's a lot of money on a car.
But that's not on Glenda's head, is it? That will be on the head of the insurance company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Glenda, it looks like you're okay to leave it, but it's not a nice thing to have sitting there, is it?
No.
Well, no, I was pretty shocked, I've got to say. Even talking about it now, it's like, oh, my God. It's more than her car, well more than her car was worth. Seems odd.
Well, Glenda...
I would be leaving it. I would get to day 19 or day 20 and then talk to the insurance company again. And if necessary, you could put in a defence, but whatever costs you incur in doing that are not going to be paid by the insurance company.
Good luck, Glenda. It's a really interesting one, that one. Wei Lin in Melbourne. Hi, Wei Lin.
Oh, hi. Thank you, Ali and David. I've learned a lot about the legal issues from this program. My question is about consumer law. 2 years ago, I purchased a pair of leather shoes, less than $100 because it's on special. The right shoe started rubbing against the big toe after wearing it for longer than 1 hour. I couldn't walk properly after 4 hours because of this issue. I contacted the shoe store. The shoe store said it's probably because the left foot and the right foot
are not the
different.
same size.
Yeah.
Yes, that's most of us.
Yeah.
Yep.
I understand. I have more than 5 pairs of leather shoes. I've never had this rubbing problem against the big toe.
So, Wei Lin, do you want to know whether or not you've got a case that you can say that the shoes are defected? A defect.
I wonder what my rights are under the consumer guarantee after 2011, Principles of Reasonable Products.
Well, let's ask David.
I don't really like your chances, Wei Lin.
Can I just say, if I could claim for every pair of shoes I've had that have given me a blister, I'd be a pretty wealthy person.
Well, it depends, Ali. Did you buy them for style or did you buy them for
Okay,
comfort?
we're changing the subject now.
Yeah,
So
okay.
does Wei Lin have a case?
I honestly don't think so, Wei Lin. You tried them on. I just don't. It's the issue is not the... they could be, my view is they're probably of merchantable quality. They probably meet all of the tests for the quality of the goods that are sold. They just don't fit your foot properly. I mean, it's like saying I've gone and bought an outfit that's the wrong size. That doesn't give you the right to return it.
No. Unless, of course, it's online shopping, which I think has sort of...
Slightly different.
Slightly different.
No, I think they have different expectations in the dealing they have with you.
Yes. Sorry about that, Wei Lin. Cecilia in Melbourne. Good morning.
Oh, hi, David. Thank you for taking my call. And my question is about old age pension. I don't have any property here in Australia, but in overseas, and I do have an apartment that is under me and my husband's name. But then, however, because I haven't living there for the past 16 years or so, because my husband is still there. So when I apply for the old age pension, will Centrelink consider it as my investment property because I'm not living there? Hello?
Yes. No, Cecilia, I'm mulling,
Yeah.
if you like. I think they... Sorry, are you still in a relationship with your husband?
Yes, we are. It's only that, I hardly went back there. You see, it's always that my husband comes over here. So yeah.
you live here, he lives there.
Yes, that's right. Because because he's still working
Yep,
there.
I understand.
And then,
The question is whether they consider it to be your home or whether they consider it to be a... But your husband's working.
Yes.
But I don't believe that you will be... Well, if you've got to take your husband's income into account in determining your pension entitlement.
Yes.
So you would, even
know.
including his income, you believe you'd still be eligible for a part pension?
That is actually my second question, because he's working overseas, and then because of the cost of living is different, so as the salary, you know. So I'm not so sure. So I just want to know, so how will Centrelink assess his income? Because it's all in overseas dollar, you know.
There will be an exchange rate that they will apply. I would have thought that they would consider you to be a homeowner. They would assess your entitlement to pension on that basis, and your husband's income would be taken into account.
And Cecilia, to be fair to David, there's a lot there that we don't know. That it's not an easy process applying for the old age pension. And there's a lot of questions that people ask, and so you've got to have the whole picture, if you like. Let's try and squeeze in one more. Leanne from Croydon. Hi, Leanne.
Oh, hi, Ali and David. My question is about a VCAT application that I put in back on the 22nd of December. I still really haven't heard anything, and I know that... What
kind of application is it, Laura?
It was against... we originally... my son was going on a sports trip overseas, and then the pandemic hit, and it got sort of postponed and then officially cancelled, and we haven't got the money back yet. So that was the application. So we're suing the...
You're suing the sports the provider of the holiday, and you want your money back. Yep, understand that.
Yep. So we still haven't heard anything. Now, I know that the courts are really COVID really pushed them back. But my question is that originally it was a group application where we had more than one group putting in an application, and we put that in, and then that was rejected. We put in individuals.
Yes.
And my friend put in an application on the 8th of January, so a few weeks after me, and she's already had her case heard, dealt with, mediated, a ruling, and she's on to the next stage or whatever. And I haven't even heard anything. And when she...
So you've got an acknowledgement from VCAT as to the application?
Well, they took the payment out the next day, so I took that as an acknowledgement.
Yeah, I would too.
Yep. And when she was going through her process and we were talking to her, I said, well, I'll contact them because it seems a bit odd, because I would have thought that they just would have put it through in order of,
I would have thought so too.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah. So I rang, and the lady I spoke to said, she was looking at my case file number.
Yes.
So I have a case file number as well. She said, there doesn't seem to be much documentation. And she said, I would contact them. So she gave me the email address, which is the original one you just lodged.
Yes.
And I got back an acknowledgement from them saying, sort of just a generic type thing saying, well, it's in the process.
We've got it. We'll come back to you.
Time.
Can I say, Leanne, this is that's an interesting issue. I've got some stuff from VCAT recently in relation to the rate at which they're resolving matters, and I know that they're successfully running down their rate. So for particularly in residential tenancies, for every 10 they're getting, they're knocking off 12. So it's a backlog from moving paper-based to electronic. But look, Leanne, I'll take that on notice and see what the process is and where their claims of your kind, where they're currently up to.
And what else can be done if you've emailed people to try and get a reminder? Because at least you want to know that it's in, it's being worked on.
Yes, but my question would be why, if someone has lodged what amounts to an identical application 20 days later,
they get dealt with and you don't.
Why is theirs finished and I haven't heard?
Maybe it's landed on the desk of the less efficient person. Exactly. Right. David, thank you. Lovely to see you. There. David Whiting there answering all your legal questions, and he'll be back with his homework done, of course, next week on Tuesday morning.